G'day, and today I'm going to show you my helm to whmcs client migration tool. This is written in CFML and it requires the Raylo application server, which you can download from www.getraylo.org. This will allow you to migrate all of your customers from your Helm 3 hosting control panel into your whmcs billing system. It has a few extra features that you wouldn't be able to do if you did a simple export to CSV and import into the whmcs database. It does use the whmcs API to make sure the job is done properly. Now the first step you have is you've got to set up two data sources in the Raylo admin. One for your whmcs database and one for your Helm database. These will need to be set up and working before you can progress any further, and this does check the Raylo admin to make sure that the data sources exist. If they don't, you will get this error that the data source doesn't exist. Once you've created the data sources, you can progress through the steps of the wizard. Now the second step here is to map your fields from the Helm database to the fields in your whmcs database. Now this doesn't just include the default fields, it also includes custom fields as well. So if you have created any custom fields in whmcs, you can map your Helm fields to them. Fields that you may need to do this with, for example, are the secondary email. There is no secondary email field in whmcs. There are also less address fields in whmcs, so you may have a custom field for that. There's also some of the Helm fields here, such as last modified, sign up IP and sign up date, that you might want to map to other very specific fields. There's also a mobile phone number. Obviously you may not have these in your system, but I have them in mine, so I can set up the mappings in here. Once you set up all your mappings, you would click the save button. That saves your mappings to a JSON file. So you only need to do it once, and the next time you come back and use the application, all your mappings will still be there for you to use again. And we're going to progress on to step 3. Now in step 3 is where you can filter the users that you're going to import into whmcs. Now you've got a user filter here, so you can decide which users you want to display. You can display either the active, the suspended, the cancelled, or all three of them together, and then you save your selection and it will update the output here. You can also search for individual customers. So let me just search for one that's listed down here, just so you can see. I'm going to search for Hughes. And it's showing only that customer. So if you just want to export one single individual customer from Helm to whmcs, you don't have to go ploughing through hundreds and hundreds of records. You can just search for it and then select that customer, and he's now added to the list. I now save my selection. Okay, now that it's saved, you can see it says that I have one user selected. Okay, and the selected user, you can see, is showing up here. I can toggle between select and remove to add and remove it from the list. Now by default it's showing the resellers. I can go into any reseller by clicking on the user ID. It now tells me here that I'm currently showing users for this specific reseller. So I can now select any users inside this reseller account. So I can add this one to the list, for example, save my selection. You can now see I have 2 users selected. I can jump back to the reseller list at any time by clicking that. Once you've filtered through the list of users that you want to export, whether it's one at a time, a few at a time, or whether you want to do the whole lot all at once, you can use the toggle all button here to toggle the entire display. And going to move on to the next step. Now we're going to begin the migration. There are some options here on how you want to do the migration. Now whmcs has a built-in welcome email that it will send to all of your customers. You may not want to send this straight away, because obviously after you've migrated the customer data, you've then still got the job of migrating their website and their databases. So you may want to wait until after you've done this to send the email. So you can choose yes or no whether to send that. Now in our system we have an SMS plugin that allows customers to receive SMS messages. That's what this particular feature here is for. Obviously you may not have this, in which case this option could be disabled if so desired. whmcs API will also perform a number of validation steps on the data that you send over to make sure all the data exists. So if you have required fields missing, it simply won't work, because that data is already there. Now you can skip this validation if you want to import the records anyway, regardless of any errors. whmcs also has client groups. So for example, let's say you wanted to separate your customers into resellers, users, or if you had multiple organizations and you wanted to group them by organization, you've got a drop down list here of those groups, and you can assign specific customers to specific groups. So this will allow you to migrate your customers maybe by one reseller at a time if you wanted to put each reseller into a separate group. You also have the option of sending a custom email. So if you don't want to send the whmcs default email, you can instead craft your own. Create your own subject, your own from address, and define your own message. You can use standard field names which are listed down here to insert the client's name, company name, email and password. It will automatically generate a password for the customer and insert that into the user account when it's created. I'm not going to send one for the purposes of this test. I'm however going to go and choose some very specific sample data to import just to show you how it works. Now I've also got this results box here. You can view the list of selected users that you've got so that you can edit them. I've only got 2 selected, so I don't want to use those, so I'm going to reset the list, which clears everything. Okay. Now I'm going to find a specific user to import because I want to cause an error to occur. So I'm going to import myself. I'm going to search for my own user. There I am. I'm going to select that. I'm going to save it. Now I'm going to try and migrate myself. Don't want to send a welcome email. I don't want to enable SMS messages. So we're going to click migrate. Now as you can see, this one failed because I've already migrated myself and my account already exists in whmcs. Okay. Now obviously if you were doing quite a lot of these, if you were bulk importing dozens or maybe even hundreds of users, you would want to keep a record of which ones failed and which ones went through okay. So you can download the report of your migration as a spreadsheet, and it will download as an XLS file. So you can then work through the ones that failed, fix any problems with them, and then come back and try them again. So what we'll do now is I'm going to go and delete my user from the whmcs database, and then I'll show you a working migration. I'm going to pause this while I do that so you won't have to watch those steps. Okay, I've now deleted myself from the whmcs database, so we'll now try and do that migration again. I'll go next, migrate. There we go, it's worked successfully this time. I'll go and have a look in whmcs, do a search for my name, and there we go, there's the account that was just created. it's as simple as that. If you're interested in obtaining a copy of this application, then please feel free to contact me via my website at www.michaels.me.uk.